No Caitlin Clark, no problem. No Sophie Cunningham, no problem. No head coach Stephanie White, have no fear. The final boss, Austin Kelly, is here. The Chicago Sky, we came into your building and we just, from pillar to post, smacked you guys around.
No Caitlin Clark, no Sophie Cunningham, no Stephanie White. Most teams would collapse under the weight of losing their superstar, their sixth woman, and their head coach in one brutal stretch. But not the Indiana Fever. On June 7th, inside the legendary United Center in Chicago, home of Jordan and Pippen, drenched in basketball legacy, the short-handed Fever didn't just survive. They dismantled the Chicago Sky in one of the most humiliating home losses of the WNBA season.
For AK, for Steph. Another one.
With Clark sidelined by injury and White absent due to personal reasons, all signs pointed toward disaster. Instead, Indiana responded with fire and fury. Kelsey Mitchell erupted. Lexie Hull lit it up. Aari McDonald made her unexpected debut, felt like a playoff breakthrough. The final score, a 27-point blowout that sent shockwaves across the league. Anyone watching saw a different truth that night. This team is no longer defined by one player. The Indiana Fever are deeper, stronger, and far more dangerous than anyone expected. For those who doubted them, the message was clear: underestimate this squad at your own risk. And if this domination without Caitlin Clark was shocking, drop a comment below that says, Fever don't fold. Now, what made this blowout so ruthless?
Great job. All right, great job.
Thanks, Daddy.
It started for us on the defensive end. We set the tone from the jump and never looked back. All right. Their starters, 8 for 29 from the field.
Hell yeah.
Hell of a job. Great attention to detail. That's less than 30%. We held them 32% for the game.
When the Indiana Fever boarded the flight to Chicago, there was no Caitlin Clark to lead the offense, no Sophie Cunningham to inject firepower off the bench, and no Stephanie White to command the sideline. For most franchises, this would signal a white flag before the opening tip. But stepping into that head coach role was Austin Kelly, a longtime assistant who had never been under brighter lights. It was his first game calling all the shots, and it just happened to be the most attended WNBA matchup of the season, inside the fabled United Center, packed with over 21,000 fans.
Well, Fever versus Sky isn't much of a rivalry, at least if you go by the results, because the Fever have dominated the Sky, and I guess you could say the sky is falling, at least in the standings and around Chicago, considering the situation with the team.
This wasn't just a game. It was a statement opportunity, and Kelly didn't blink. From the opening quarter, his team played with tactical precision and emotional control. There were no nervous rotations, no signs of chaos. Kelly stood tall in front of the bench, delivering a masterclass in poise.
Austin Kelly filling in for Stephanie White. I got a feeling. Austin Kelly looks like a head coach on the side. Folks, there was none of this. Austin Kelly looked like the final boss on the sideline watching over the Indiana Fever team. His posture, his presence, yeah, head coach type stuff, you know what it is. The assistants standing up, giving me some energy, giving me some, Yep, I liked what I saw tonight, folks.
Observers quickly noticed how the body language on the Indiana sideline had shifted. Players were locked in, coaches were animated but focused, and Kelly looked every bit the part of a veteran commander. The Fever weren't out there surviving. They were executing a plan, and that plan had Kelly written all over it. One night, one venue, and one chance to prove leadership under fire. And he didn't just manage it, he dominated it. But the brilliance on the bench needed a spark on the floor.
This time steps right through the heart of the defense and blows by Chicago. The wins off of Lake Michigan. Loses Atkins, step back mini, knocks it down. Oh, the connection to Howard. How about the finish from Mitchell?
And she may be the quickest guard in the league with the ball in her hands.
With the spotlight searching for a leader in Caitlin Clark's absence, Kelsey Mitchell stepped forward, and not with hesitation, but with urgency. For weeks, there had been quiet murmurs about her inconsistency. This season hadn't matched the scoring brilliance of her previous campaign, and without Clark drawing double teams, questions lingered. Could Mitchell handle the full defensive pressure of a team game planning around her? Could she carry the scoring load alone on a national stage? On June 7th, inside a roaring United Center, Mitchell answered those questions with ruthless efficiency.
Here's Mitchell trying to attack Van Lith. Will slow it down a bit. This time steps right through the heart of the defense and blows by Chicago. The winds off of Lake Michigan. Timeout Sky as Indiana has built a 17-point advantage.
From the opening minutes, she attacked the Chicago defense with speed and aggression. Whether slicing into the lane or rising up from mid-range, Mitchell looked completely unfazed. She wasn't trying to replace Clark. She was unleashing the version of herself fans had been waiting to see all season. Her 17 points didn't come in volume. They came in moments that mattered. She stopped scoring droughts. She ignited runs. She created space for others. And most importantly, she led by example. Her energy rippled through the lineup and reshaped the game's tone. Chicago's defenders, confused and collapsing, found themselves reacting instead of dictating. Mitchell didn't just respond to the pressure. She thrived in it. But while she was carving up the perimeter, someone else was quietly heating up from downtown. In a game built on stars, Lexie Hull reminded everyone that role players can rewrite the script. No one circled her name before tip-off, but by the final buzzer, she'd quietly put together one of the most efficient performances of her career. While defenses locked in on Mitchell and Boston, Hull slipped into open pockets and made every shot count. She was perfect from beyond the arc, 2 for 2 when the Fever needed it most. But wasn't just the scoring. Her presence on the floor was electric.
In the 3-game absence for Caitlin Clark, leads the league in field goal percentage and shows you right there.
The intentionality to get Aaliyah Boston the basketball.
Hull posted the highest plus-minus of any player in the game, a stat that revealed how dominant Indiana was whenever she was involved in the action. Her movement without the ball disrupted Chicago's defensive rhythm. Her timing on cuts, spacing, and help defense was textbook. And perhaps most critically, she never forced a single play. Hull played within the system, yet her impact felt outsized at every key moment. Her shooting kept runs alive. Her defense turned stops into transition opportunities. This wasn't a fluke. It was the continuation of a hot streak that's been building all season. Lexie Hull has quietly evolved into the kind of player championship teams lean on, not for headlines, but for wins. And while she was lighting it up from the outside, one former #1 overall pick was taking over the paint with surgical control.
We won the boards, all right? And, they're a second chance points team, all right? And we won that area as well. Taking away their strengths was something that we did a great job of, all right?
So just extremely proud of y'all. We stayed locked in, we stayed together, we executed the scout at a very high level. Just multiple levels of effort. Everything that we've asked of you today, we put it in there, and from now, again, stacking days, building on those moments where we're stringing those possessions together, right? Building on those great possessions on defense and on offense. Great, hell of a job, y'all. High level. Good job, y'all.
While the perimeter scorers stretched the floor, it was Aaliyah Boston who anchored everything from the inside out. The second-year star delivered one of her most complete performances of the season, reminding everyone exactly why she was a top overall pick. In just 28 minutes of action, Boston stuffed the stat sheet with 11 points, 5 rebounds, 5 assists, and a career-high 5 blocks. She didn't just defend the rim, she owned it. Time after time, Chicago's drives ended in hesitation or rejection as Boston's timing disrupted their rhythm. Her footwork in the post was sharp, her passing vision carved up double teams, and her decision-making turned tough matchups into easy points. But it was her demeanor that stood out most, calm, composed, and locked in.
Big game, obviously you're stepping in for Steph, but what are the feelings coaching a game in this arena?
Oh, it's you grow up watching the Bulls and you see Michael Jordan's, jersey and Scotty's jersey sitting up there. It's a surreal moment. But I think the message for us is the same. We want to continue to build that consistency on both ends of the floor. And it's another opportunity for us to do that here.
Without Clark orchestrating the offense, Boston became a secondary playmaker, facilitating from the high post and drawing attention that freed up shooters. And defensively, she was the firewall. Chicago couldn't get anything easy inside. She altered shots, contested jumpers, and fought through every screen. With the Sky struggling to finish plays, Boston's presence became a psychological barrier as much as a physical one. Her impact was felt on every possession. But while Boston dominated the paint, it was a late addition to the roster, a guard few had ever mentioned, that turned this game into something unforgettable.
Aari McDonald for three. McDonald had a. Aari McDonald with a steal. McDonald had a. Aari McDonald drawing offensive fouls. McDonald had a. Folks, what a glorious game. What a glorious game.
Aari McDonald wasn't supposed to be the storyline. Signed on a hardship contract just 6 days before the game, her role was expected to be limited, maybe a few backup minutes at best. But when the lights hit the floor at the United Center, McDonald didn't just show up. She seized the moment and transformed it into a career-defining performance. Running the point like a seasoned floor general, she orchestrated the offense with poise, vision, and a fearless edge that caught Chicago off guard.
But both teams facing a little bit of adversity, having certain players out or not at full capacity.
McDonald, a huge triple in the corner. Mitchell, patient in the corner, flips it up top. Boston, other side. McDonald, another three. I'm loving it.
Her stat line, 12 points, 3 steals, 2 assists, 2 rebounds, and a block, only scratched the surface of her impact. McDonald hit timely three-pointers, slashed through gaps in the defense, and pushed the tempo every chance she got. More importantly, she disrupted the Sky's offense with suffocating ball pressure, forcing turnovers that turned into momentum-shifting fast breaks.
5 meetings this season between the two teams. McDonald pokes it away, then tapped up down the floor, and McDonald will slow things down. McDonald for 3, cashes in.
Survival mode looks really fun.
Her presence expanded Indiana's spacing and elevated everyone around her. Mitchell had more room to operate. Hull got better looks. Boston found cleaner post entries. McDonald was the unexpected engine that turned Indiana's game plan from survival to dominance. The Sky had no scouting report for her, and it showed. She made decisions with confidence, and her fearlessness changed the emotional tenor of the game. For a player just days into her new system, her execution was jaw-dropping. And with McDonald running the show, the Fever began to expose just how fragile Chicago truly was.
Lex, 500 points today. 750 rebounds. And just a hell of an effort, y'all. I said I wanted y'all to make them feel us. They felt us. Yeah, nobody in there on their team had double digit scores. That's the toughness piece.
This was supposed to be Chicago's redemption. After suffering a brutal 35-point loss to Indiana weeks earlier, the Sky had circled June 7th as their moment for revenge. The United Center was packed, the crowd buzzing with anticipation, and Indiana was severely shorthanded. Everything lined up for a feel-good win, but what unfolded was nothing short of a collapse. The Sky didn't just lose, they imploded. Chicago shot an abysmal 32.1% from the field and an even worse 20% from beyond the arc. They committed 19 turnovers, many of them unforced, and not a single player reached double figures in scoring.
The Dallas Wings must really, really stink, because those are the 2 wins that the Chicago Sky have this year, and the Fever have absolutely blown the doors off of them in their matchups this season, including this time around without Caitlin Clark. Angel Reese just 2 of 7 from the floor, only 4 points. She's shooting like 31% from the floor on the year. The Minnesota Lynx own the Chicago Sky's draft pick. It is rough sledding for the Sky.
Angel Reese, the face of the franchise, was held to just 4 points on 2 of 7 shooting. Her 12 rebounds couldn't mask the absence of offensive impact. Defensively, the Sky were disorganized and overwhelmed. They failed to contain dribble penetration, allowed wide-open looks from the perimeter, and collapsed under Indiana's ball movement. By the third quarter, heads were down, and the energy in the arena had shifted from excitement to disbelief. What began as a chance to reassert pride became a public unraveling. The Sky weren't just beaten, they were embarrassed, outclassed in every phase of the game.
We got the lead and we just didn't look back. The Indiana Fever destroying the pathetic Chicago Sky, the sad Chicago Sky, the distraught Chicago Sky, the mess of a franchise known as The Chicago Sky, Tyler Marsh, salute. Tyler Marsh, you see what a real head coach looked like there, Tyler Marsh? You see, folks, Austin Kelly didn't even call a timeout. She said, ladies, play.
And as the scoreboard kept ticking up in Indiana's favor, it became clear that this wasn't about missing shots. This was about getting outplayed, outcoached, and outfought. The worst part, Indiana looked like the more confident, connected, and complete team, even without their stars. But what made this domination even more shocking was how it wasn't just one or two players, it was a total team effort. Indiana didn't just win because one player caught fire or because Chicago had a bad night. This was a blueprint-level team performance from top to bottom. Every player who stepped on the floor for the Fever contributed, and the chemistry between them was undeniable. The Fever finished with 20 assists on just 27 made field goals, a staggering ratio that showcased unselfish play and flawless execution. They shot 45.8% from the field and buried 11 threes at a blistering 40.7% clip. This wasn't the offense of a team missing its top scorer. This was an evolved unit that moved the ball, exploited mismatches, and kept Chicago chasing shadows. What stood out most wasn't just the stat sheet, it was the collective will. Every rotation was tight. Every cut had purpose. Every possession felt orchestrated. Players like Katie Lou Samuelson and Nalissa Smith didn't need to dominate to make an impact. They played their roles with precision and intensity. On defense, the team swarmed to the ball, cut off passing lanes, and consistently won the effort plays. The Sky, on the other hand, looked disconnected, confused by rotations, late on switches, and visibly rattled by Indiana's tempo. What was expected to be a struggle for survival turned into a showcase of depth, structure, and resilience. Indiana didn't rely on talent alone. They trusted their system and each other. It was the kind of performance that signals something deeper than a good night. It signaled the presence of a legitimate contender. And as the final buzzer echoed through the United Center, there was one more message waiting for the rest of the league. The Fever didn't just leave Chicago with a win. They left with a message stamped in bold across every headline. This team is far more than Caitlin Clark. They are a unified, hungry, and fully capable roster that can dismantle opponents even without their brightest star on the floor. When Austin Kelly was drenched in water during the post-game celebration, it wasn't just a fun locker room moment. It was the emotional release of a team that had been tested, doubted, and thrown into a firestorm, and came out stronger. From Kelsey Mitchell's offensive command, to Aari McDonald's unexpected spark, to Lexie Hull's sharpshooting, to Aaliyah Boston's two-way brilliance, every part of Indiana's identity was on full display. Even Clark, watching from the bench, was fully engaged, yelling encouragement and soaking in the team's triumph. And that's what made this victory different. It wasn't just a game, they flipped the narrative. Indiana proved they're not built around one player. They're built around belief, preparation, and trust. Meanwhile, Chicago walked off their home floor in stunned silence, knowing that their shot at redemption had just turned into another crushing reminder of the gap between these two teams. And for the rest of the league, the lesson was crystal clear. Underestimate Indiana at your own peril. They didn't survive the absence of their star. They thrived in it. And when this team gets fully healthy again, they won't just be dangerous. They'll be unstoppable. The 2025 season just took a turn, and the Fever are coming with fire. The Indiana Fever didn't just silence critics, they changed the conversation. No superstar, no coach, no excuses. What unfolded at the United Center was more than a win. It was a warning shot to the rest of the WNBA that this team has depth, chemistry, and heart. From the fiery emergence of Austin Kelly on the sidelines to Aari McDonald's fearless takeover, this game had all the ingredients of a defining moment. The Fever proved that adversity doesn't weaken them, it sharpens them. And if they can dominate like this without Caitlin Clark, imagine what's coming when she returns. This wasn't about one player, it was about a culture being built brick by brick, possession by possession. And the foundation is already shaking the league. Like, subscribe, and turn on all notifications so you don't miss what happens next in this wild 2025 WNBA season. Drop a comment below. Fever don't fold if this team just earned your respect.